Hello, NCLI friends. This is Skip from the University of Illinois at Chicago. And for this module, we're going to present a systematic review that Sam, Caitlin, and I have been working on that relates to school-based mental health. And then we're also going to present an article by Dr. Cook that incorporates PBIS and SEL in school-based settings. So it'll give you a little bit of background information on our systematic review. It all started in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. Sam had been watching a few presentations with Caitlin delivered by Dr. Cook about school-based mental health. And from there, she went and talked to Betsy a little bit about how interesting it was. And her and Caitlin had a discussion with Betsy. And Betsy always told us that a good place to begin is always with a lit review. So from there, we decided we would conduct a lit review as a team with the outcome of a collaborative literature review on mental health services in school. At this point, it's a systematic review that may end up being a meta-analysis as well. So to give you a little background on the process, the first thing we did was we kind of talked about developing a question, what we want to get from this review, what we look to learn. We then created a little bit of our inclusion and exclusion criteria, which I'll go over with you guys shortly. From there, we started playing around with searches and seeing what information we got back. We then coded articles. We actually started off coding abstracts. We coded the abstracts using our inclusion and exclusion criteria. Sam and Caitlin did a wonderful job of creating a code book using REDCap. That is phenomenal so far, and I think it's been a great tool for us. Next, and this is where we currently are, we're working on extracting data from the articles. So we currently have gone through a couple together as a team. Now we're doing them independently, and we're going to be giving each other a little bit of IOA from there. And then our final step is going to be next is synthesizing the findings into a paper. So the question we developed is, what is the effect of mental health services provided in K through 12 public school settings for students with or at risk for behavior or mental health related disorders? Now keep in mind, this is obviously always open to change. The more we learn, the more we find, the more we go through the articles, something different could end up coming out, a different question could come out of this process. As I told you, we have our inclusion and exclusion criteria. So we originally want to be looking at interventions designed for students with or at risk for behavior and or mental health disorders. So those would be targeted interventions. However, at this point, we're still including our universal interventions. We want our participants to be K through 12 students in public schools. We want the studies to be experimental. So we're doing RCT, quasi, or single case. However, we did not find any single case. So it's going to be mostly RCT and quasi. Published in a peer-reviewed journal and studies published between 2000 and 2016. We chose the year 2000 because that's the last time a literature review was conducted on school-based mental health services. We use that a little bit as a guide, but we do make some changes because a lot has changed in the last 16 years. As far as exclusion, the design, if it's not experimental, if it's an after-school or a summer-based clinic, or if the participants are outside the K through 12 range. Our search procedures, we use PsycInfo, ProQuest Education, ERIC, ProQuest Health, and Medical Complete. We thought that using these, some education and some of the health ones will give us interventions that may have been done by psychologists and were not reported in educational journals. And here are our search terms. We're finding that having mental health by itself may have caused a little bit of a difference in some of the articles we got back. Overall, we aren't really seeing any problems right now, but we're making sure we're going through other articles and journals and hand searching to make sure we got everything. Our results were 3,459 abstracts that we then went through and screened to see if they should be part of our study. So during this abstract coding, we created codes based on the inclusion-exclusion criteria. So every time we excluded a study, we kind of have a code number for why we excluded it. We excluded 3,107 out of 3,459 abstracts. You can see there a couple of the top reasons we excluded them. We then conducted IOA on 20% of those with 97.4% agreement. For our full text coding, which is phase one, so this is where once we thought the abstract said that they should be included, we then went through the full text coding to make sure they should be included. We excluded 208 out of 253, leaving us 44 included studies. Actually, that's the numbers we changed a little bit actually. So we aren't even at 44 right now, so it is a little bit off. The top reasons for excluding, we once again have there, and the IOA of 97.22 on 20% of the full text. And the last steps now is we're making sure that we have all the relevant ones, like I said. So we're going through, we're hand searching, we're collaborating with a mental health expert, and then also going through other reviews that have been done. For instance, people have recently conducted mental health reviews in urban settings or other different type of inclusion and exclusion criteria. So we're making sure we have all of those relevant text as well. And now 44, like I said, but even that's changing as we're going through the articles a little bit more. The full text coding, this is the phase we're in now. So this is our data extraction. We're using a code book through Vanderbilt, and we are getting all of the information we possibly can out of there, quality, statistics, who it was conducted on, settings. We're basically just trying to get all the information we can. This is still subject to change again because we've only done 2 of the full text articles right now as I'm recording this. So we're still working on this as well. Now into the article. So this is the title of it. It was conducted by Dr. Clayton Cook, is the first author. He was one of the presenters at CEC who inspired this whole conversation to begin in the Systematic Lit Review. So that's why we chose his article. It includes 4 conditions. So in here there's mental health only, behavior only, mental health and behavior combined, and BAU, which is business as usual. So in order to assess the mental health, they use SEL, and for the behavior they use PBIS. So one of the settings is students get an SEL, one is PBIS, one is business as usual, and one is PBIS and SEL combined. Things to note about the article: all the interventions used in the treatment conditions were universal. So the classrooms were identified as needing assistance, but the students did not have to have a diagnosis. And the measures were teachers reported of internalizing and externalizing behaviors. Teachers were the implementers, which therefore opens it up the possibility of correlated measurement error, and it could be strengthened with the generalized measures of these behaviors. So as you're reading this, we gave you 2 questions to think about the following. What do the results suggest about mental health as a 3rd pillar of intensive interventions? And how could you see academics fitting into this mental health behavior combination? And then also, as you get into the discussion for this, we included a recent article given by NPR that kind of shows the need for mental health and a couple of people that implement it. That'll be included in our discussion as well. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. Thank you and enjoy.